This is Jake Ciely, and I'm the blown ACL that ruins your football season.
Good news, everyone! Let's get dangerous.
This is so cool!
I know!
It feels so right!
It's Jake Ciely.
I'm sorry, who is this?
Nice try, Moonman! Pretending not to know! Greatest mastermind!
You just made the list!
I thought you said that was a myth.
Just because it's a myth doesn't mean it's not true.
If you all blindly follow my plan, we may have a chance.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn.
Game on, you Ducks. It's the Week 6 notes and injuries and stuff like that. And a quick reminder, if you didn't go listen to the Jim Cummings podcast, that's the voice of Darkwing Duck and the guy who did that little clip for us at the beginning. Us, I say, because you guys are listening. Go check it out, please. I want more listens to that than any other podcast I've ever done, especially if I hope to get people like him back on the podcast again because they see fantasy football and they're like, what the hell do you want me on for? But anyway, that's what we're talking about. Let's recap real quickly the Thursday night football game, or should we call it the Skattebo game. Tyrone Tracy back in the mix, and I do think he'll have a few more touches going forward. The big concern for Skattebo was that it was very volume reliant heading into that game, and then he goes off against the Eagles, and they beat the Eagles on top of it. Theo Johnson, a little bit of a disappointment, actually pretty much a disappointment because Jackson Dart didn't have to do a lot. Little Jordan Humphrey, probably the last time we'll see that name in quite a while since Darius Slayton should be back. The Giants across the board, it was just the Skattebo game. Like, these things happen, a 3-touchdown game. Dart did his thing on the ground as well. They just didn't need to do a lot outside of Wan'Dale Robinson, so I expect Theo Johnson to still be in the mid-upper tight end 2 range, but that's where he'll be, and a decent streamer, but it just didn't happen to hit. That's what happens. Speaking of not hitting, though, the Eagles side of things, again, Saquon Barkley, one of his better games, which has been a pretty low bar. The Eagles offense continues to be broken. They have extra days to get right. A.J. Brown had a decent game, could have had a better one. Devontae Smith had an okay game. Also could have running free down the something is wrong with this Eagles offense. And we've said and seen this before. This is where I'm going with it. Look, it just might be crazy, if you want to say so, because the offensive line is struggling outside of the tush push, and I think that's part of the Barkley situation as well. But how many years in a row have we said this, like, fire everybody, fire the coaching staff, it's all their fault? You know, the Eagles look like a mess, and then boom, turn around, and they're dominating in the playoffs, winning Super Bowls, and they're the best organization ever. I'm saying I'm buying low on Saquon Barkley, still buying low on A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. The truth of it is, though, Saquon Barkley is more of a low-end RB1 this year. What a shock, a career year. He's not going to match that. A.J. Brown is what A.J. Brown is, a mid-upper wide receiver 2 with up and down games, and Devontae Smith is a wide receiver 3, up and down games. I think the problem with players like Devontae Smith more than A.J. Brown, the Devontae Smiths, Jameson Williams, we could go down the list. Jalen Waddle when Tyreek Hill was healthy, and yada, yada. I'll just do it. Yada, yada, yada. Good old Seinfeld reference. The problem with those wide receiver 3s is that's why they are wide receiver 3s, because you get 20 points and then you get 5. But then there's years where they finish as a wide receiver 2, and people only remember the fact that they finished as a top 20, 22 wide receiver. Missing the point that on a points per game basis, they might even be a little bit lower, but it's still more of a wide receiver 3 masking as a wide receiver 2. So I just want to say that in general. Like, if you're newer to fantasy, newer to this podcast, understand that these wide receivers like that, with those inconsistencies, are more 3s with some seasons of having 2 performances, but those are why they're 3s, because they're roller coasters. Speaking of roller coaster, wow, the Chris Godwin, whether or not he's going to be healthy and play this season, is a roller coaster ride. He is out this week if you didn't see it. Similar situation to before with the leg. Like, it's the same fibula that he fractured last year. And look, Mike Evans is probably around the corner. So I dropped him. I dropped him in a league. And this is somebody who's like hoping to get something out of him earlier this year, something out of him in general. And I'm dropping him for Jaydon Blue, who we'll talk about in a little bit. And that's just the situation we're in, like done kind of hanging on to him, unless you have the IR spots, obviously. But if you don't, the league that I dropped him in only has 1, which I think is insane. You know how I feel about that. But anyway, he's droppable. This is beyond frustrating at this point. Kyler Murray, questionable for this week. You're going to have to watch for that. Jacoby Brissett for Superflex would obviously be a desperation quarterback too. I don't think it'd be such a major downgrade to McBride. It'd be a slight ding. I mean, we're going to move him from tight end 2 to tight end 4. You're playing McBride. Marvin Harrison, same thing. Slight ding. Is he a wide receiver 2 or now wide receiver 3 or maybe just on the cusp? Who cares? Honestly, Brissett might even help Marvin Harrison Jr. So we're not doing much. I mean, you're starting your Cardinals. Just be wary if you're in Superflex that you might not have Kyler Murray. Xavier Worthy should be out there. Speaking of another roller coaster, if he plays, you play him at this point because the comeback when he did and playing that performance, or put up that performance, I should say, coming off the injury. So if he plays, he's similar to somebody we're going to talk about in a little bit for the 49ers. If he plays through the injuries, you play Xavier Worthy. Zay Flowers is a little bit of a different situation. If he suits up, I would even downgrade him more from being that wide receiver 3 in the Devontae Smith kind of conversation to he could leave the game early because they have their bye coming up next week and we already don't have Lamar Jackson. So if they're getting gobsmacked, I think Zay Flowers is more of a risk than he normally is. Speaking of Jaydon Blue from before, I think I said speaking of like 10 times in this podcast already. We're only 5 minutes in. But anyway, Jaydon Blue, if he got dropped, pick him back up. Stash him where you can. I don't think he's going to get involved, but if you didn't see it, Miles Sanders actually surprisingly headed to the IR. So Jaydon Blue is just the next man up. The Cowboys don't want to give him much, and they only are going to have him as the next man up. But if something happened to Javonte Williams, they're clearly leaning on their lead running back quite a bit. So make sure you go get Jaydon Blue if he's out there, or if you haven't, just hold on. Alvin Kamara, another running back, questionable this week. Sounds like he's going to play and be fine, but continue to split more and more with Kendre Miller. That split can continue to grow. I know there's the trade rumors out there. I've addressed them before, but I wanted to bring this up more so the fact that we're now on the point where running backs, remember a few weeks ago when running backs were healthy and healthier than wide receivers? So with like Alvin Kamara, Kendre Miller's probably rostered in all your leagues, but Kyle Monangai, in case the Bears turn to him for 1, but 2, if DeAndre Swift gets hurt. Tahj Brooks, the trade of Joe Flacco. Maybe they're tired of Chase Brown and start giving Brooks some more looks, or even turn to him, 50-50 split, or Chase Brown gets hurt. Breece Hall gets hurt. Isaiah Davis is up. Jonathan Taylor gets hurt. DJ Giddens is up. So basically all these high-end running backs with clear options behind them, although Chase Brown's not a high-end running back right now, make sure they're rostered. I mean, I skipped past the obvious names. We know about the Tyler Algier and Blake Corums and all those of the worlds, but these other options, we're 1 injury away. Look what happened. We had 2 on the same team with the Cardinals, and now we're chasing Hassan Haskins and Kamani Vidal, which, by the way, if you just see, I have Haskins slightly over Vidal because they signed Nyheim Hines, which Nyheim Hines seems to complement Haskins more than Vidal, although it's probably just a mess. It is Greg Roman who likes to use multiple running backs. Let's see. A few more things before we get out of here. If you're super desperate for a tight end, Brock Bowers is out, and Michael Mayer is finally healthy. Somebody who's kind of in that, hey, Notre Dame produces tight ends and offensive linemen. So Michael Mayer, I would have kind of around behind Theo Johnson. I had Bellinger almost as a fringe play. They didn't use him at all. They ran a ton. Go back to the Giants. They ran a ton of 2 tight end sets. It's just it benefited Cam Skattebo. But all that being said, to go back to it, Bellinger was like a desperation. He did nothing. Desperation play, similar to Michael Mayer. Just because he's out there doesn't necessarily mean that Geno Smith is going to look at him any more than Trey Tucker and Jacoby Myers and the rest. And then, as I said, Jauan Jennings with Mac Jones. They both seem like they're good to go. Need to watch that. They play later on Sunday. But Mac Jones, super flex if you need him. And then Jauan Jennings was the one I was referencing with Xavier Worthy. If he plays, you play him. Like, Jauan Jennings plays through injuries. And I have him in the ranks right now as a fringe wide receiver 2 with no Ricky Pearsall. He's been the one, even with Pearsall, when healthy. Make that clear, is that the health is a big problem there. But when healthy, top 25 at least. Now, if he's not out there, I would almost just swap in Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne won't be quite as high as Jauan Jennings, but Mac Jones is probably going to go to Bourne if there is no Jennings. So basically both of them top 30-ish, no matter what. Any more questions? You know where to find me. Drop in the comments over at the ranks. Go listen to that podcast, please. I don't know how many times I need to beg. I loved it. You should too, because it's Darkwing Duck. But anyway, also Sunday morning over in the Discord at The Athletic, live video to answer some more of your questions at halftime of the London baby game. So it could be kind of a 11-ish, 10:50-ish, 11:15. Like, just, it's going to be halftime. I'm rambling. Goodbye.